cut different than a lot of people in the industry, and the drive, the ambition, the appetite to do more and to improve farming. What if you could shrink that down into the look at your own DNA? What do you think contributed to that?
We were raised as kids. We didn't have much, and it never bothered us. I didn't even know, in all reality, Mike, that we didn't have a lot. And I think it was. We learned to work first. That's why we dairy. I'll just tell you, the reason we dairy is so we can raise our kids and learn how to work. And, our dairy has done very well. I mean, we're in genetics and that. But you set that foundation, how you work and how you think. And that's really critical to Cindy and I and our children. And I think I had that from my dad. We were struggling farmers, so we built grain bins on the side. We knew what hard work was, how to pour concrete, how to build a bin a day. And it was always about figuring out a faster, better way. That's what's always driven me. So my DNA is, not to back up, I love the growth. If I can buy a poor farm and fix it, that's probably what gives me if you say, what's your recreation? It would be buying a farm for $4,000 less than any other farm in the area. And then end up within a 4-year period making a better word, pattern tile it, put irrigation on it, do all the environmentally correct things, fix all the ditches and the drainage ditches and do that. That drives me. There's that reward. And then it's knowing for the next several generations the success that our grandkids and their kids will have.
In some of these other interviews I'm doing for this special project, there's always been some touch and go moments where it looked dark and there was a decision to go forward, and sometimes the harder thing was to stay with it. Do you have some touch and go moments, and how did you get through them?
I can remember laying in bed, and I remember the first year we didn't pay off the bank line of credit. I can remember it vividly. So we were farming and raising hogs, and I carried over $20,000 over the bank into the next year, and I was beside myself. And the Vice President of the bank was a very close friend of mine. I said, Greg, you're doing awesome. Compared to everybody else, he said, you're having a great year. And I said, Brian, how can I be having a good year if I'm $20,000 in the hole starting this next year? I saw no way to get it out. I remember laying in bed at night and just praying. I said, Lord, I didn't marry Cindy to bankrupt her. And at that moment, I said, I'm going to change. And that's when we started to really grow. And that's the year I started precision planting. And it probably by divine intervention, but once I started and I saw how much need there was out there for other growers, I just threw caution to the wind and we jumped in. I did a meeting in the local area about setting meters. And that meeting, I got 600 rows. First year, we didn't have a clue what we were doing. All of a sudden, I had 600 meters in the shop. And I looked at Cindy and I said, well, we like it or not, we're in business. And so, those were the things. We were not going to make it in farming the way we were going. I just was not going to make it raising hogs. It was just those years. My interest was 20%. And I know that sounds...
Early 80s?
And that's the early 80s. And it was tough. We got married in 81 and we jumped right in, and it was hard. It was hard. And so I think that's what defined it. In business itself, I think back, there's always moments of struggling, and you get a letter from somebody saying, we think we invented this before you. There's that sleepless nights and things. But all in all, we've been very fortunate. I get that all the time. Of why did you sell? And, when Monsanto come, it seemed like with lots of thought. A year and a half we took to decide. We believed it was the right thing to do for all of our people, for the farmers, because it looked like a system that we could work together on. And then it didn't work out all that well. So field scripts didn't come out to be what we hoped it would be.
And I know it's early in 360's new business, but if you were looking ahead and a son or grandson will be picking up this thing, what would be the core basic tenets that you would insist that they had been well exposed to?
Yeah.
To know where the business started and what could keep it successful for future generations?
Well, first of all, they got to know that they have the ability to design technology that's real, that it is going to work. Second of all, you got to surround yourself with people. No matter what, you're nothing without the right people. And third, it's always the customer's right, and he always wins. And you hear that all the time, the customer's right, and you say, well, what's that mean? That means, I remember we were in a harrow business, And I had a grower call from Iowa, and he said he tore the hitch off the harrow. And I couldn't believe it because we built it really heavy, overbuilt it. And we went out and put a new hitch on, no questions asked. Sent a welder, mobile truck, and we welded it on. I had another neighbor of his say to me then that winter, he said, do you know what happened there? And I said, no. And he said, he got that stuck in a wet hole, and he unhooked and pulled his tractor out, and they hooked the cable on from a perpendicular. And they got 2 big crawlers on it, and they pulled it out sideways and made that spin in the mud, and that's what tore that hitch off. But you know, that guy did me more good. He spread word everywhere that Greg come out and put a new hitch on, no questions asked. At the time, I knew, and it was a pretty good-sized bill, and I wasn't happy about it. Never said a word, and that sold me more product than anything I ever done.
I bet this next question will be tough for you, but every leader has one thing that they would hang their hat on, right? If some are design people, inventors, marketers. If you were to slug yourself with one word that sums up Greg Sauter, what would your word be?
I like the marketing promotion side of it. Obviously, I'm an inventor. Tim and I, we come up with ideas, and we have a whole pipeline of ideas. But designing this show booth and working in front of that crowd today is what I like the most. Can I make guys think? My job, Mike, is to make them uncomfortable. I better not be patting them all on the back. I need to be challenging them to say, you know, what's your weakest link? I was doing a meeting for Kentucky young farmers. They have a master's class. I had them usually every year for about 5 hours. And the first time I started the class, I said, you must tell me the weakest link in your operation. And the one young man, about the 6th one in, said, Dad. I said, no, I'm not letting you off like that. No, he said, my dad is my weakest link. And I wouldn't let him off of that until he told me that Dad doesn't believe he should ever plant corn narrower than 38-inch rows. Okay, I gave. And I said, okay, maybe we do have a weak link here. But you have to determine your next step. You know, we were meeting with a family from New Zealand, and they're struggling. It is really painful over there. I mean, they're way below their break even. And we were talking about what is your next step. And for them, their next step is figuring out nitrogen. How are they going to make nitrogen effective but not cost so much for them? And that's his next big step. He's got the population now. They're planting 40,000. In New Zealand, you got all the perfect, never gets above 70 degrees, rains all the time, but they're just mismanaging their nutrient. That's what you got to discover. So my job is to help them do that. So that's why I like marketing, promotion, and showing the show business. That's what I really like. You know, like in Precision, we designed a mobile marketing truck. Extremely successful. 9,000 people a year we could put in that classroom. And it was almost like Disney World. You give them an experience where when they left, they were just in awe. That's what you got to do. You got to impact people's lives.
The way ag is going, how often do you think we'll see a small business start up with the scale that you can create?
You know, it's tough to get in and get noticed. It's a brutal game. I mean, the big fish will eat you if they can, and that doesn't make them bad guys. They're doing the same thing I'm doing today. Every big booth OEM here is trying to have an impact on a grower. All of us are saying, how do we get these guys to come in off the street and talk to us? So you have to make a difference. Can it be done? Absolutely. If you have good ideas, it can be done. Too many times I'll talk to people that want to start a business and it's not a great idea. And the hardest thing for me is to tell them, I don't think this is going to work. And I'm not going to pick on anybody, but there's a company I'm thinking of directly in mind. And I know the father, son, and they basically have sold the farm to make it go. I'm not a prophet, but I'm telling you, I feel for them. I drove by their booth this morning and I looked at it and I said, there's a part of me that want to stop. I want to just say, I know nothing, but can I help you? You know, and that sounds arrogant, but we've been in the game long enough, you can just sense when you know what you need to do something different. You know, and that's, you know, so when people come to us, we try to help them if we can. A lot of young farmers will come up with an idea and they say, Will you help me patent it? Absolutely. We'll give them our patent attorney and we'll get them started. Some of those turn out and some do not. You know, the reality is you're going to spend $12,000 on a patent. You better hope that you got something worth working on.
You know, having just put this through the filter of the business world here. When you're done, when you call it quits, what are you hoping that your employees and customers have to say about it?
First and above all, they know that we exhibited Christ in our life and that we helped in time of need. You know, life isn't perfect, and we have families that are struggling, either a sick child or themselves or a wife. You know, there's where you step in. But after that, hopefully they say, you know, Greg he challenged me to do things I never thought I could do. That's what drives me. If I can stretch them, take them out of their comfort zone, and make them do things they never thought they could do. At Precision, I would take local farmers and put them in a role, and it wasn't long, we would turn them into a professional regional manager. No, it took some time, and I can think of one in particular, awesome individual, really good at what he does. There had been a time he'd have looked at you and said, I can't even speak in a crowd. And now he's out doing meetings. So give people an opportunity. So I'd like to have him say, you know, Greg gave me an opportunity, and he believed in me, and it worked. And I'm a better person for it today. I sure hope that's what they would say. We'll see. You know, you have to have some humility in this business. If you get thinking too much of yourself, you'll find out pretty quick you'll fall. If you don't think you need to be humble, just go on social media and listen to farmers. You'll find out pretty quick what people think. So hopefully, Mike, at the end of the day, they would say that our family had a positive impact on a lot of people. You know, we had 200 employees at Precision, and we've been as high as 100 at 360. It flexes back and forth, and hopefully we've changed lives. That would sure be my desire, to have an impact. So am I doing that or not? I don't think I'm the right one to ask.
Yeah, it's a tough question, I know. But it occurred to me when I was thinking about all the people that a business touches over the course of time.
It's amazing when you think of the dollars that flow out. You know, we probably have 5 states where we're drawing products out of. And when you'll visit those factories and you see a lot of people, you know, they'll smile and you're going down the line and they're working on your part and they find out who you are, you know, it feels good to know that they're excited about doing it right.
Yeah.
You know, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like while we got the cameras running, and people understand your business and where you're coming from?
We were talking there that one segment about starting a new business, and you said, is there opportunity? I'll just say this, don't ever give up. The first farm show I ever went to, a pretty prominent businessman come and said, I don't know if I should say this to you and Cindy, but you'll never make it. And I just smiled because he didn't know the constitution of Greg and Cindy. And I mean, we did on the road, you know, we homeschool our kids because we traveled and they were at shows. They were raised up at farm shows. I mean, they were babies. And, you know, Cindy is 90% of the reason my success. She wouldn't give up, and she knew the business. And, you know, we'd work till 1 o'clock at night in a motel processing invoices while kids are sleeping. The next day we're at the show again. And so never give up. Greg Sauter should never say to you, I don't think that's a good product. It won't make it. Only you know what you have inside of you to make it work. We need small businesses. If we think the John Deere's, the Case, the Kubotas, the Agcos have all the answers, we're mistaken. Not that they don't do good stuff, but we need small inventors of products that are willing to take a shot. I don't want you to risk the whole farm, but be willing to put the hard work in. It'll be harder than you ever thought was possible. You better not want a lot of sleep, and you better be willing to have disappointment. And when that happens, you just start over again.